To start our day today, I welcome upon stage Mr. Prashant Girbane, General Secretary PIC, for welcome and introduction.
Thank you so much. Just to make sure that the systems are working, at the far end, can you hear me? All right. Good morning, everyone. Sorry, I think I'll have to check my. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you. Dr. Raghunath Mashelkar, sir, President of Pune International Center. Dr. Vijay Kelkar, sir, Vice President of Pune International Center. Mrs. Sangeeta Jindal ji, Chairperson of JSW Foundation. My friend, Abhay Vaidya, Director, Pune International Center. All the social innovators who have gathered here from across the country, the mentors to the social innovators, members of Pune International Center, trustees of Pune International Center. There are faculties from many academic institutions, students, scholars, researchers, and many well-meaning Punekars who have gathered here today. Let me welcome one and all to the 10th National Conference on Social Innovation. I'm thrilled, I'm excited, and I'll tell you why. It is about, in 2013, we were still operating as Pune International Center out of a tiny, tiny room where I used to work. And there were, I guess, two of us, Kiran Pardeshi and Tejas, and me doing the part-time. And Dr. Mashelkar and Dr. Kelkar almost were also working part-time as volunteers while they had the tags of president and vice president. One fine day, I get an email from IIM Ahmedabad, and I thought I'll look at it. It was Professor Anil Gupta. He said, the boss has told that we got to do a conference on social innovation. Now, Professor Gupta taught me. So I thought, if he's calling boss, let me check who he's talking about, right? And of course, he was talking about Mashelkar sir and Kelkar sir, and he mentioned that we got to do a conference on social innovation. That's where the story started in 2013. We organized this, and we organized it here, very much in this place. And for the past 10 years, we have been organizing it here in Yashoda. We had Professor Gupta's colleague, Vipin, who is also here, who is now heading the NIF nationally, National Innovation Foundation. Professor Gupta came, while discussing it, he mentioned how Dr. Vijay Kelkar, while he was the 13th Finance Commission chair, created an institution that promoted social innovations, right, as the NIF. And that's one of the many other institutions that were created, funded. And of course, how Dr. Mashelkar, who is known as Mr. Innovation, not just in India, now in many other parts of the world as well, supported and guided it. So the story started in 2013. Don't worry, I'll come very quickly to 2022, because I know that you got to hear both Dr. Mashelkar, Mrs. Jindal, Dr. Kelkar, and others. In a couple of years, parallelly, there was Anjani Mashelkar Innovation Award that was being given by the Mashelkar family, and that was running. I remember Dr. Kelkar requesting Dr. Mashelkar that if he's okay with it, can we please bring the Anjali Mashelkar Innovation Award also as part of NCSI. And this is an interesting thing about PIC, right? Because it doesn't belong to one. We could always look at what's good happening and try kind of bring it in and become kind of a bigger in terms of impact. Dr. Mashelkar, Sushil kindly agreed, and then we kind of started including that as part of the NCSI. You would get to hear a lot about the Anjali Mashelkar Innovation Award when Dr. Mashelkar sir would speak to us. As we are progressing, we used to get about 8-9 different states represented on urban, rural, and tribal social innovations. About 2016, very much on this podium, Mashelkar sir, while delivering his valedictory address, mentioned that, hey, you guys create a great moment once a year. But how about creating momentum between the two moments? Essentially, that meant some work for us, which is make sure that you are also active between these two conferences and you are creating impact even between the two conferences. My colleague Hitendra Singh, who had also studied in Ahmedabad, was working in Dubai with a high-paying job. He had left the job to come just as a volunteer here. He picked that up, and we created social enterprise mentorship program. There are about 10 mentors that we have who have been guiding social innovators, and about 83 of them, Mandar tells me, who is championing this program, tells me that about 83 social innovators have been impacted thanks to these mentors. As Dr. Kelkar was mentioning to a couple of people just before the program, this is all being done pro bono. That's the spirit of social innovation. That's the spirit of Pune as well. We have here with us Sanjay Kanvinde, Pramod Atle, Girendra Kasmalkar, Anil Kulkarni, Amit Bhargava, Ram Iyer, Sandeep Chawda, Madhukar Bhatia, Shekhar Zadhav, Sangeeta Kale, and couple others. All of you people, thanks to you, we have these 83 social innovators, and that number we're still counting, who benefited because of this program. So that started in about 2017. As we progressed, a year later or two, 18 or 19, Dr. Kelkar in his valedictory address mentioned that we should have a Pune International Center Social Innovation Lab. Right? So that meant another set of good work for us to do in the social innovation team, in the PIC team. And there we should also, so that social innovators get to focus on their innovation, we should look at what are the shared services we can provide them so that they are able to do their work even better. They are able to increase their impact. So when Mandar joined around that time and we started the shared service center in about just before the pandemic, I think, in December 2019, early 2020, that's when we started this. Today, about 60 social enterprises are helped thanks to the shared services program that is run by Pune International Center. And right from the website design to digital marketing to making a pitch to registering your IP, all these services are provided so that a social innovator is able to focus on his or her innovations. Right. While we are doing all of this, on one occasion I distinctly remember Dr. Mashelkar and Dr. Kelkar had a meeting with Mr. Tata, and I had the fortune of joining them for this interaction. And I distinctly remember whole lot of that discussion focused around the social innovation lab part of it, or the social innovation part of it, on what we are doing, how we are working on it. And he himself looked thrilled about the fact that, there is something like this happening here. And that was so motivating when I came back and shared with the colleagues, right? It's indeed inspiring. There is a whole lot more. Hopefully I'll write a chapter and share rather than kind of take a lot more time here about the journey of NCSI. But I should stop there so that we get to hear the other dignitaries that we have on the dais. Just before I conclude, I must mention once again, while we're doing the 10th year here, hopefully, thanks to many others in the infrastructure committee, we would be able to do, if not the 11th, the 12th one in the Pune International Center campus. That is not too far from here. That wouldn't be too far from here. With that hope, I conclude. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to request Dr. Mashelkar, sir, to felicitate Mrs. Jindal, ma'am. And yeah. Yeah. Sir, I invite you to the podium for opening remarks.
Our chief guest, Mrs. Sangeeta Jindal, a great philanthropist with a big heart. And I'll tell you why as I move on. A great thought leader, a great action leader. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation and doing the honor. Dr. Vijay Kelkar, our most beloved Vice President, Prashant, Abhay, all of you with great social innovators and members of the PIC family, not just the members of PIC family, but the family members in a different sense when we all gather here today, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, when I entered, I was very happy to see people warmly hugging each other, shaking hands. Thank God the new normal is gone and we are back to the old normal. I really felt terrific. Let me begin by warmly welcoming our chief guest, Sangeeta Jindal. As I said, she's a great philanthropist and has provided inspirational leadership to the work of JSW Foundation, which is a social development arm of JSW, doing some fantastic work in education, in health, in environment, in art, in heritage, very many diverse fields. I got to know Sangeeta due to one of the activities that the foundation does, which is these Earth Care Awards. What a beautiful name, no? Earth Care. We care for Earth. And this has to do with several aspects connected with sustainability and now most importantly, of course, climate change. And these are the most prestigious awards, I would say, in this particular space. And we celebrated Sangeeta recently the 10th year, a decade of journey. And I'm very happy and proud and grateful to you that you asked me to be the chair of this. This was the 6th continuous year that I have been the chairman of this awards committee, and I have seen your commitment, your passion firsthand. That's why I said a person with a big heart, and really appreciate that. Of course, you are very well known. I will take maybe half an hour to describe you, but one of the things that I want to highlight is your belief in transformative power of art. And that is something, this Jindal Arts Creative Interaction Center at NCPA, can you imagine? She did it in 1995, as long ago as that, as a matter of fact. And her commitment to art and heritage, in fact, she was named as the Heritage Keeper of the Year in 2019. Connected with today's event, I have greatly admired Sangeeta, your great contribution to social innovation with the idea of women's rural DPOs that you set up in way back in 2005, and BPO for rural women was itself a very powerful idea, I would say. So thank you very much for being with us. Already Prashant has stolen the show by telling you everything that I wanted to talk about today's event. So I'll skip talking about PIC, I'll skip talking about NCSI as a platform. But I must say one thing. There is one person that I'm very scared of. You know who? Vijay. Because we were just standing here and he suddenly said, I'm just thinking. The moment he says, I'm thinking, there's a new idea. And that becomes work for us. So this social innovation, Vijay, was your idea. Like all the great things that we are doing are his ideas. We are merely executors, basically. And this idea came up 10 years ago and has moved as was described. And if you can see, like what Prashant said, that I had said, yes, we have an event, but let us make it into a movement. And it did become, as I can see. And thanks to the hard work, commitment of Mandar, a lot of you as mentors, giving your time selflessly. Most precious thing in life I have realized is time, not money. And you donate that, and we are very grateful to you. And I'm very happy to see it started in Pune, but it has now a big national coverage. Like this year, you will see that we have received 130 plus applications from 20 states. And that includes Jammu and Kashmir, Assam, Manipur, Andhra Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Meghalaya, Nagaland, etc. So the far corners of the world. That is one thing that I'm very happy about. The second thing is greater participation of women in this endeavor. I think that is something as a must. And of course, NCSI so far has provided platform to more than 165 social innovators. Program is also attended by the CSR representatives of some of the most progressive organizations in the country. And we have also been welcoming friends from incubators, accelerators, impact investment for the last 4 years. The Social Innovation Lab we already talked about, basically, and I'm very proud to see the running of the Social Enterprise Mentorship Program. That's extremely important. These young people, both speed and direction is important, but many times you can go with great speed in wrong direction. That is where the mentor comes in. And that has been very, very helpful indeed, and you will be hearing more about the social entrepreneurs today. One thing I want to say, it is not the number, 165, the quality of the social entrepreneurs were chosen. And the proof that you have done the right choice is when they show up later. First you recognize them and then they show up. It is not that first they get Padma Shri and then you recognize them. You recognize them and then they get Padma Shri. That is very important. That is one of our, what will they do in life later on? Like for example, Sangeeta, this Rani Bai Soma Popre, one of the finalists in the 2016, she got Padma Shri in 2020, after we did. So we take special pride in that. That is one of the performance indicators for us, by the way. All right? And she had done phenomenal work coming from a tribal village from the Ahmednagar district. Second one, for example, NCSI 2018 winner, Akshita Sajdev, Bonnie Dave, and Abhishek Bangal. What did they do? For example, they created these Trestle labs. They developed Kibo XS, a device which reads pointed text across 12 Indian and multiple international languages in real time. And it helps visually the impaired community by providing real-time access to printed, handwritten and digital content through this audio across multiple Indian languages. And this has now reached 18,000 visually impaired people across 16 states in India and 15 countries worldwide. 15 countries worldwide. So that is another part that I take particularly pride in, that is Make in India for the world. Not followers, being leaders, all right? And I can go on and on for an hour, but I'm just giving you samples, Sangeeta, to tell you about what sort of innovators we'll have. And I'm very hopeful that from the social innovators that are here today, they will not only get Padma Shri, but go worldwide, as a matter of fact. It is not this particular honor. It is finally about making difference. Innovation is doing things differently to make a difference. Social innovation is doing things differently to make a social difference. So this is what we actually expect during the day. So we have tried to bring several CSR, corporate impact investors, accelerators like Tata Trust, like JSW Foundation, Lupin Foundation, Huawei, etc., etc. I come to the other important part, which is the Anjani Mashelkar Inclusive Innovation Award. Once again, all great ideas originate from Vijay. You know, someday you must have said, Vijay, I'm thinking, and then came the idea. And the idea was to give this particular award, and I will tell you a little bit about the award, a national platform like this. My entire family, we remain eternally grateful to you for giving us this particular platform. The award is in the name of my mother, Anjani Mashelkar, whom you see here, and she left us for her heavenly award on, on this day. And as you know, she brought me up facing all the odds that an extremely poor, widowed, uneducated mother moving to Mumbai with a 6-year-old boy would face. And this she did with courage and dignity. And there is a story behind the award. Many of you might have heard, but Sangeeta, you may not have heard, so I repeat. So I was Director General of CSR. I was operating from Delhi. Every weekend I would come Friday night. Saturday, Sunday I'll be in my labs. And Sunday evening I will go. And then I have this habit of carrying some cash like I'm doing now. So whatever was there, I would give it to her. We never asked her what she did with it. And she left us on 17 November 2006. And then Shruti, who is here in the audience, in that corner, she was organizing her saris. And she had kept all that money there with a little chit. Use it for doing some science for the poor or do something. I don't remember the exact words. That is how this award actually was set up. So I would say, although she is not there, she is everywhere as far as I am concerned. And this award is therefore very, very special. This award was, thank you. This award was set up in 2011, and some of you have been given this copy of Civil Society. This is a cover story describing the 10 awards that we have. Sangeeta, there is something special about these awards. First is, I'm not a great believer in best practice. I'm a believer in next practice, and we have seen that in our Earthcare Awards. Second is, making high technology work for the rich, very easy. Making low technology work for the poor, very easy. But making high technology work for the poor is very difficult. So these awards are given to those who make high technology work for the poor, and you will see the stories here. And once again, our performance indicator is what do they do after this award has been given, like the one that you will receive today. You know, they go places. Like Senthil Murugesan, some of you will remember, he created the Jivo Vivo, a game-changing maternal healthcare solution that provides 1,000 days care to mother and child for ₹1,000. I'm very proud to tell you, last month, this has become a Harvard Business Review case study. And other winners, like, and you see some of them here, for example, Moody's Dozy, turns an ordinary bed into a step-down ICU in a matter of minutes. You can well imagine when, at the peak of COVID, when people were dying in ambulances because there were no ICUs, can you just imagine making a stand-up ICU? And this has gone global now, basically. Just now, CDC of US has ordered 5,000 of these to be distributed among the developing countries. Make in India for the world and making a difference. Then eye breast exam of Mir Shah, it is going to 25 countries, handheld, non-invasive device. Within $1, painlessly you know whether you have breast cancer or not. That is again going places. Or Anupata Vijay gives 8 test results in just 60 seconds. Rahul Rastogi's Sanket Life, handheld ECG, again for affordable cardiac care, just ₹5 per scan. An extremely accurate 12-lead medical grade ECG. Naveen Khanna's Dengue Day 1 test, for example, does it in 15 minutes, not 1 day, 2 day, and so on and so forth, which has sold 10 million dengue tests, by the way, across the world. Not just 10 or 100 or 1,000 or 10,000, 10 million. So these are some of the old awardees, and these are covered in this civil society, and we are adding one more today. I must also say that this year as a part of, I must mention something else to you. In 2019, we gave an award to a young final year college going students. They created what is called as Bandicoot. And that Bandicoot is actually a robot which does the manual scavenging job that is replaced by actually, as they would put it, they would say, manhole is a bad idea. Why man in the hole? Machine should be in the hole. Man should be outside. And interestingly, their most interesting part was that if you replace the manual scavenger with a machine, what happens to his family? What does he do? You know, they trained the manual scavengers in doing the sort of operation, and you can just imagine it is access to dignity. Because if that manual scavengers' children were going to school and they were asked, what does your father do? They would have put their head down and said, manual scavenging. Now put their head up and say, robo-operator. Access to dignity. And equally importantly, I remember Amar Sable, who was a Rajya Sabha MP, who got to know that he was a member of the rehabilitation of manual scavengers committee at the center, and he presented this part there, and government is moving now a new law in terms of replacing man by machine, and you can see transformative. So these awards are not just for Harvard Business Review case or something being sold, but social transformation. I think that's extremely important. I might just add that as a good governance, we have actually now replaced the old committee with a new committee. I'll just read out the names and thank them collectively. It comprises Anu Aga, Devi Shetty, Harsh Mariwala, Dr. Radhakrishnan, former head of ISRO, Kiran Karnik, Biocon's Kiran Muzumdar Shaw, Nirmal Ganguly, former DG of ICMR, Ronnie Screwwala, Shekhar Mande, Shraddha Sharma, Swati Piramal, and Sushil Bode. So friends, now let's move on to the 2022 program. I request our Anjani Mashelkar Foundation Trustee, Mr. Sushil Bode, not my son-in-law, my son, take over.
Thank you, thank you. I was going to say Dr. Mashelkar, but now I have to say thank you, Papa. Good morning all, and a warm welcome to the 12th Anjani Mashelkar Inclusive Innovation Award. Prashant, your problem or challenge was to create a momentum between two moments. Our problem was to create a movement from an event, right? So the challenge was, Dr. Mashelkar said, enough of these events, we have to create a movement. Now this inclusive innovation movement that Dr. Mashelkar pioneered has gained tremendous momentum, and that is only because it has been propelled by the previous winners that you saw and their great work that they've done. This year's winner, you will see, has really taken this award to the next level. They have brought a new dimension to the ethos of this award, and this is on affordability, on disruption, as well as on impact. And you will see when we announce the winner and also the citation. This year, again, as usual, we had tremendous competition. In fact, Kibo, that Dr. Mashelkar mentioned, was one of the finalists. And the jury that we saw had a tough time to really select the winner, right? So let me now announce the winner of the Anjani Mashelkar Inclusive Innovation Award 2022. And the award goes to Salsit Technologies for Swasa. Let me read out the citation quickly before we invite them. So chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD as we know it, is the third leading cause of death worldwide, causing over 30 lakh deaths in 2019. India has the highest tuberculosis burden in the world. We all know that. In 2021, India recorded 20 lakh TB cases and around 5 lakh TB-related deaths. Just not acceptable. Spirometry is considered the gold standard for confirming the diagnosis of COPD, but it is very expensive and requires a skilled technician for conducting the test. And that is where the problem lies. Swasa by Salsit Technologies provides a smartphone-based, ultra-low-cost, disruptive solution for detecting major respiratory disorders, not just tuberculosis, but all respiratory disorders, through audiometric analysis of cough sounds. Narayana Rao Shripad is the founder and CTO of Salsit Technologies, along with co-founders Manmohan Jain and Venkat Yechuri. With Swasa, Narayana and his team want to make respiratory healthcare affordable and accessible to everyone so that no individual dies a preventable death from a lung disease. May I now invite Narayana Rao and Manmohan Jain onto the stage to receive the award from our chief guest, Mrs. Jindal, Dr. Mashelkar, and Dr. Kelkar. We all have to come in front, I think.
I'll handle this.
Thank you. And congratulations again, Narayana, Manmohan, very proud of you. We can clearly see our distinguished jury, why they have selected Swasa, right? It's a disruption at the next level. And you will see further in his presentation the details about how they have achieved almost the impossible. Narayana, over to you.
Thank you, Sushil.
Yeah, that's okay.
Very good morning, everyone. I am Narayan Rao. I am the founder of Salsit Technologies. Before becoming an entrepreneur, I did work with DRDO, Texas Instruments, Motorola and Hewlett Packard. I did gain expertise in digital signal processing and software product development. First of all, thank you very much for recognizing Swasa for Anjani Mashelkar Inclusive Innovation Award. This really means a lot to us. So if we look at the global burden on respiratory diseases, there are 55 crore patients with respiratory diseases, and 1 in 8 deaths is attributed to respiratory diseases, and there are 70 lakh deaths caused by respiratory diseases. Respiratory diseases are a silent killer. Millions are dying when they don't have to. So the big 5 respiratory diseases include chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, asthma, lower respiratory tract infection, tuberculosis, and lung cancer. COPD, there are 33 crore people affected with COPD, and 6.5 crore people have COPD, and there are about 32.3 lakh deaths due to COPD. COPD is not a rich man's disease. It is a problem of poor and rich. But when it comes to tuberculosis, India has the highest burden, and there are 20 lakh cases reported, and there are about 5 lakh deaths in 2019. A late diagnosis of TB can devastate a family due to the loss of earnings, the cost to the medicine, and a probable death to the family. So the challenge is really the inability to screen and diagnose lung health in real time and in scale. So the affordable and accessible means to identify, screen at scale, and prioritize high-risk population is really the need of the hour. As you all may be knowing, spirometry is considered the gold standard for screening and diagnosing respiratory problems. As Sushil mentioned earlier, due to lack of human expertise and laboratory facilities, it is practically not possible to set up spirometry in primary healthcare centers. So any technology which can facilitate in screening respiratory problems and identify whether the problem is related to the airways or to the lung parenchyma is going to be a highly valuable proposition for the next appropriate intervention. So this video shows how difficult it is to use spirometry to do a test.
बोलो देखो 4 सेकेंड चढ़ते থাকবো बीच में बंद করবে না ঠিক আছে টা ছাড়া বলবেন সঙ্গে সঙ্গে ঠিক আছে চিন্তা ভিতরে টানো টা দাদা আমি টানো বলা है ना প্রথমে টান কে ছাড়ো ভিতরে ঢোকো নিকালো করো করো এমনি টানছে দিখাও এমনি টানো এরকম টানবো नाक से नहीं इसीलिए हम बोला नाक बंद करने के लिए स्ट्रॉ में जूस पीता है ना कैसे हाँ संगे संगे छोड़ो भीतर ढुको टानो छोड़ो छोड़ो
So to address this gap, we developed SWASA using cough as a biomarker for detecting respiratory problems. Cough is a common symptom for various respiratory diseases, and it is caused by expiratory expulsion of air to clear the airways. So the glottis behaves very differently for various pathological conditions, making it distinguishable the origination of the cough for various respiratory diseases like asthma, COPD, interstitial lung disease, and so on. Based on this underlying premise, we developed SWASA using machine learning and deep learning algorithms, exploiting the uniqueness of the cough signature. SWASA can detect these disorders even through a forced cough. And SWASA is not an incremental innovation to any existing lung assessment, like a portable spirometer or a digital stethoscope. What we could do is something all of you have in your phone using the mobile to decode the cough signature, which really makes it a disruptive innovation. Here is a video about SWASA.
SWASA is an ultra-scalable and affordable respiratory health platform developed as a point-of-care solution for triaging, monitoring and surveillance of various respiratory diseases. SWASA uses audiometric analysis to analyze the cough sounds using ML models to detect respiratory ailments like tuberculosis, COVID, COPD, pneumonia, etc. Typically, when a patient consults a doctor with respiratory ailments or symptoms, the doctor can advise SWASA test and other possible diagnoses. A small and quick enrollment can share the web link with the patient on their phone. The patient can start recording cough sounds in their SWASA application. The results are instantaneous. On one side, the patient can see their preliminary assessment of their lung health and associated risk. Simultaneously, the doctors can access a detailed report of the cough sounds on their web dashboard or mobile device. The report provides general lung health read comprising of spirometry results followed by identification of various respiratory diseases. In cases where the symptoms indicate a high risk, the doctor can choose to refer the patient for additional tests for further treatment. SWASA is developed and maintained by Salsit Technologies, and we are committed to making respiratory healthcare accessible and affordable to.
So public health is just not about technology, but is also about ground deployment and affordability. So SWASA dispenses the need for setting up a laboratory. For example, if you need to set up a spirometry, you need about a 1 lakh rupees, but with SWASA you don't need any investment. Similarly, to get a test done, including direct and indirect expenses, you need about 1,500 rupees. With SWASA, it can be as low as 1 rupee. A PFT test takes about 90 minutes to give a result, but SWASA provides result instantaneously. So now there has been lot of literature about objective assessment of cough. I am very proud to say we are one of the first companies working on this worldwide. SWASA is backed by science, born out of 7 clinical validations, and we have international publications and patents. So how did I come here? Let me give a brief glimpse. To address the gap of screening for respiratory problems, Ministry of Electronics and Communication awarded a research project on acoustic signal analysis for healthcare to 2 institutions in Hyderabad. And I was one of the advisors. During the course of the project, I met various doctors and understood the severity of the problem. I quit my corporate job and started full-time onto this. Initially, we focused on using respiratory sounds, wheeze sounds, crackle sounds, including cough sounds, and to understand the kind of information they carry about the respiratory system. Department of Biotechnology, BIRAC, awarded us 2 grants, and we developed a prototype using that. And we did our first successful clinical validation at Apollo Research and Innovation, Hyderabad, to provide an output which is functionally equivalent to spirometry interpretation. I did this development with the help of researchers and students to really make this as a product, scalable solution, and as Dr. Mashelkar mentioned, to make it a global solution, I needed a strong leadership support. And that's when Venkat and my colleague Manmohan joined SALSIT in 2020. I mean, Manmohan comes with very rich IT industry background. He is the one who started CA Technologies in Hyderabad. So to really make it affordable and accessible, we further narrowed down on using cough, the only biomarker for screening these respiratory problems. And we got further support from Government of India and as well as Government of UK. And here the British High Commissioner, Dr. Andrew Fleming, mentioning about SWASA as a global solution to solve a global problem. So we all know the crisis which we went in 2020. We identified an opportunity to repurpose our solution for COVID-19 pre-screening using cough sound analysis along with symptoms to provide a risk assessment in less than 10 seconds. SWASA is now integrated in the user journey of Apollo clinics. We are part of GeoGenNext Accelerator program, and we are signing an MOU with Abbott. And it is already used for screening in rural health centers in Odisha and 2 medical colleges in Andhra Pradesh. We are also very closely working with NGOs like Pyramid Swasthya, did their pilot testing, and now they are planning for deployment as part of their mobile medical units in Assam. Healing Fields Foundation is actually training 2,500 social entrepreneurs on this. Vasavya Mahila Mandali is using for screening truckers and migrant workers in Vijayawada. So my sandbox was disruption and affordability. So I'm sure you all are excited about this solution as we are, and you can participate in our journey. If you are a researcher or a student, you can further help us in enhancing the research. If you are a medical practitioner, you can actually use SWASA and give us feedback. And if you are a government official, you can help us in integrating this into public health initiatives. And if you are a health service provider, you can actually bring it into your ecosystem. And if you are rich, you can write a fat check for us. So the mission at SALSIT is to revolutionize respiratory healthcare. So come and join us. In making sure that there are no respiratory illness deaths that could have been prevented. Thank you. Thank you for giving us this award. This is really a super booster for us.
Thank you, Narayana, and congratulations again to the whole team of SALSIT. You know, they say life is the journey between the first breath that we take and the last breath. And I think what they're ensuring is that we have a very pleasant journey between our first breath and the last breath. So thank you very much for that, Narayan and Salsit team. You can clearly see why the jury chose Salsit, right? I mean, from a spirometer that is so cumbersome, and of course you need a clinic and you need a doctor and you need a public health center. His sandbox, as he said, was disruption. And he said, why do I need new equipment? Okay? Healthcare means equipment. And he says there should be no equipment. Why can't this phone become my equipment, which is in the hands of almost everyone who can use a smartphone? So that's what he did with the equipment. And there you can see from 1 lakh for a spirometer, he's brought it down to 0 in terms of equipment cost. The second, of course, is the operational expense, which is the cost of treatment, which is brought down to 1 rupee per test. Our challenge to him, Papa, is going to be make it free, okay? And try and make money somewhere else, because yes, of course, you have to be sustainable. Congratulations again. This has been, like I said, a great award that has brought in a new dimension to our movement. And we look forward to work with you to take this to the next level. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just a few words. First of all, congratulations. This is the power of Indian innovation. I call it Indovation. Indian innovation, Indovation, making high technology work for the society, not at the top of the pyramid, but also bottom of the pyramid. That's fantastic. Second, talking about bottom of the pyramid, as soon as you say bottom of the pyramid, you remember C.K. Prahlad, right? Because he coined that term and that famous book. You know, his last paper, he co-authored with me. It is a Harvard Business Review paper called Innovation's Holy Grail, Getting More from Less for More. You remember I had talked about Gandhian engineering in 2008, getting more from less for more people. And in 2010, we wrote that paper together because CK and I were together on several boards and we talked to each other. I'm very proud to say that is now ranked among the top 10 must-read papers in innovation. But whereas I'm very glad to say that, I'm very sad to say that that was his last paper. And you know why it was his last paper? He passed away after writing that particular paper because a US hospital could not recognize what was wrong with his lung. I relate that to this now. I wish this device was there and he would have been saved. You know, he was one of the greatest world's thought leaders. So that is one point I wanted to make, how important this is to get it right and get it right quickly, basically. The second point I want to make is that in this journey from ideas to impact, it's a long journey, and that's the toughest in India, by the way. It's not very easy. Venture capital sometimes becomes vulture capital, not adventure capital. That is not available in India. Investing in new ideas like sort of yours. And that is where the public-private partnership, BIRAC, that came in, becomes very important. The government's role, I think, is very, very critical in this ideas to impact journey. Also the corporates. You know, you mentioned GeoGenNext. I'm very proud to say my son, Amey Mashelkar, he heads GeoGenNext, as you probably know. And we many times pick up our winners from their selection, because from 2000 they select 10. So one of them sort of becomes available to it. Not always, but sort of many times. So BIRAC is a government support. GeoGenNext is corporate accelerator. The private player sort of coming. I think this is extraordinarily important. This is typical when we write your story we'll mention the journey. Journey is very important on the way. The other point is that it's very easy when you see all this presentation, but it's a humongous amount of work that goes on. That includes somebody who is very difficult. He has a divine discontent. Never gets satisfied, Sushil Borde. And his team, that includes Shrikant Dev, Manmohan Singh, Amya Madan for these foundation awards. So we want to thank you profusely. Here are their photographs, basically. And finally, I'm very happy that we have given the award, but it doesn't stop here. Anjani Mashelkar Inclusive Innovation Award is not an applause, a press release, and so on. The journey starts there. We help further. In fact, we hold hands and then take it forward in whatever we can. You might remember, because particularly our Tatas are represented here, so I don't mind mentioning that, how this journey takes place actually. You will remember there was this portable ECG which does a scan just in 5 rupees, and it's a 12 lead ECG. That presentation was made by Rahul Rastogi here, if you remember that device, which is, you can put it in your pocket and so on. And it operates, Sangeeta, very simply. You have this device, you put your 2 thumbs up here for 15 seconds, and then there is a sensor, which you move. This is your heart, 15, 15, 15 seconds, 15, 15, 15, and you get your ECG on your, this thing. It's transformative. But when we gave him the award, it was 6 lead. I said, no, 6 lead won't do. 12 lead, that's it. And he said, but it will require money. I said, how much? Then he said 48 lakh. But my habit is verify and trust. I said, give me the bill of materials and everything. It was 48 lakh. And Tata Trust had invited me, by the way. Venkat was in charge at that time. I took that device and I said, this can go from 6 lakh to 12 lakh if 48 lakh is made available. Within 48 hours, they wrote a check for 48 lakh. That is how it happened. So that's what we have to do, as a matter of fact. The idea is a seed, but finally we want the fruit. Seed to fruit is a long journey, and that is where we all help. So thank you very much for this wonderful morning, and congratulations again.